Welcome to a different video. Today, we'll be taking a look at some art that I made, and I will be showing you how I made a realistified version of the Phantom Ninja. So this was made from my other Phantom Ninja video, and I recorded myself using Photoshop to turn her from a 2D drawing into a realistic one. I've seen so many people on YouTube using Photoshop to turn drawings into something that you'd probably see in real life, or at the very least a 3D look. So, I thought I might do the same. Now, enough talk. Let's dive right into how I made this. So the first thing I did was trace every shape from the image with a pen tool. These were going to be all the shapes that would make up the Phantom Ninja's body. Well, the upper half at least. Oh boy, this is gonna take a while.
One eternity later.
After an eternity of tracing every shape on this bloody thing, this is the finished product. But it's not really finished because we're not done yet. Since Salil didn't have any legs in this image, I decided to use an image of Deepstone Zane. I erased his torso up to his belt and daggers. Then I used Puppet Warp to fit the legs with the torso as much as possible. To make the colors of the legs and torso match, I used a color balance, a vibrance, a hue and saturation, and an exposure adjustment layer for that. Alright, this looks like absolute shit right now, so to make this better without puking, I journeyed through the internet looking for textures and putting them on each shape, especially the helmet and the torso. I put a texture above each shape and put it into a clipping mask. Another option would have been to put the textures above the body and erase the edges so that they could fit each shape, but a clipping mask allows me to freely transform the texture, and using an eraser tool would have made it look a little less impressive. I also used bevel and emboss to literally fill in the gaps. I also decided to add some shadows to my helmet to make it look like it had a 3D edge. Maybe? We'll see. Anyway, with Warp, I was able to make some of the textures look more three-dimensional rather than just plastered on the shapes. I also used several adjustment layers to get a sense as to where my light source was coming from. It wasn't exactly the same light source as the 2D drawing, but I don't know, I didn't like where the light source was coming from in that drawing, so I decided to put it somewhere else. I also made some tiny adjustments to the legs, by the way. The next thing I did was add a cyberpunk samurai sword, which looked very cool. I changed the color, the exposure, and added a blank background as a placeholder. I also added a glow onto the sword, so that meant I had to make a highlight for the Phantom Ninja. I added a new adjustment layer, changed the hue, the saturation, and the lightness. I also hit colorize because it would highlight the entire body, which is what I needed. I pressed Ctrl-I to invert the layer, and used a soft brush to paint over certain areas of the body close to the glowing sword. I decided to do the same thing with the daggers, and guess what? The same bloody thing I did with the sword. Who would have thought? I later added a dark adjustment layer to make the entire body more refined. I added a roof, played with it for a bit, and added the background. I also painted a background color of the sky and copied the buildings to make them look taller. I also dropped in a moon. Before I could do that, I decided to trace over Werq Tower because I don't know, it just looks cool. For some reason, Werq Tower just really speaks to me, and I thought this piece would be empty without it. So I put it on the canvas, refined the edges with an eraser tool, and began struggling to figure out where the hell I was going to put it. Ultimately, here was good enough. I used an adjustment layer to darken the tower, and tried to manually paint over the lights, but yeah, as you can see, I failed miserably, and I wanted to kill myself. So I grabbed an image of some city lights, made it transparent by hitting the screen blend mode, and erased bits and pieces of it to make the tower look lit. I was not a fan of how the legs were turning out for Salil. They looked too shiny compared to the upper body, so I painted over the shiny areas of the leg. It still kinda looked fake as shit, but I had other things to worry about. I wanted to add a glow to all the buildings to give the environment more life and, you know, make the city look more active. So I made several solid colors, inverted them, and used a brush to make them appear glowy. It gave me a bit of retro neon vibes to it, but I like it. Neon vibes probably isn't the right choice of words. Next was the moon. I wanted the face of the moon to be a crescent shape just like her moon symbol on her gi, so I erased parts of the moon with a smooth brush and added another solid color to make it glow just like the city lights. After adding more glow to as many buildings as I could find, I added a smoke layer to make the background more hazy. And since the Phantom Ninja uses purple smoke, I added some around the body and changed its colors with a bit of saturation. After spending several minutes messing with the smoke, I decided to save it for later and focusing on darkening the body and the rooftop because they really didn't look like they were part of the composition. So I added yet another black adjustment layer and some highlights that came from the moon's glow. I also added an outer glow to make the moonlight bounce off the objects, because where there's smoke, there's fire, so where there's glowing stuff, there's highlights. If that made any sense. I fixed up the legs by changing the opacity, added yet another highlight to the Phantom Ninja, and called it good for now. Well, what else could I have done, you may ask? Well, I went back to the purple smoke, tweaked some of those layers a little bit more, and decided to add highlights coming from the glowing buildings behind her. How could I forget about the glowing buildings behind her? Well, it's because I was distracted by other things and I was, yeah, I got distracted. The environment looked pretty dead and bland, so to make it look more alive, I added a particle effect. Next, I added a field blur to the background and added a layer of the particles to make the buildings look more far away, and to give the Phantom Ninja more focus. I don't know about you guys, but I think this looks pretty sick. Well, since I didn't want to spend any more time messing with this thing, I called it a day and added a camera raw filter to make it look even better. I selected all the layers into one group, duplicated the group, converted it into a smart object, merged the group, and hit camera raw filter under the filter selection and started moving every slider I chose. I also added my signature to the upper left corner to signify that it's mine and doesn't belong to anyone else. I also put a camera raw filter for the blank background that I made a while back, and there you have it. May I present the Phantom Ninja Realistified. Very, very nice. I'm going to be dead honest with you guys here. I did not have high hopes for this, but it turned out better than I thought. It's obviously not the best since this is the first time I've made a drawing look realistic, and a lot of it was trial and error, but it still turned out pretty great in my book. Let me know what you guys think. You had better hit that like and subscribe button, because this literally took me over 6.5 hours to make in total. I will be posting this on Twitter and Instagram, so make sure you follow me on those social platforms too. I will see if I can sell this somewhere on a website, like Displayed or something, so you can have the chance to hang it up on your wall. Not sure on that possibility though, but we'll have to see. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, then I literally just said hit the like and subscribe buttons. I hope you guys are doing that right now. And yeah, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!